with God, with one another. The love is there. You understand that we're all one. That's what it said. When you're in this covenant, you will not steal. When you're in this covenant, you will honor your father and mother. When you're in this covenant, you will not covet your neighbor's property. It's not saying you better get it right and you better do better. It's saying once you become who we are to be, and you already are that, it ain't even become. Once there's an awareness of and an acceptance of, you will not cause trouble in the same way that you had been. That's a little more freeing way to look at it, and I really understand it that that's the way that even the 10 Commandments were laid out. You will have no other God before me. That doesn't mean if I catch you worshiping something else, it's trouble. It means when you understand who and what God is, now you ain't gonna have no other God before God. Don't even worry about it. Live into it instead of attempting to live up to it. Because when I attempt to live up to it, well, they said, thou shalt not. Don't go to bed angry. Oh, Lord, well, I'm trying, Lord. And now, if I go to bed angry, I went to bed angry. That's not even the worst part. The worst is how bad I feel about breaking a commandment. But I don't think that's the way that the commandments were laid out. So then he said, well, okay, so we know what a commandment is now. We know that it's an unction. We know that it's internally driven. We know that it's a result. It's not necessarily some sort of benchmark that we got to act our way into. That's good. So what's the greatest? Love God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. These commandments are not, like I said, it's not something I got to try to figure out. It's something that is ubiquitous. Have you noticed commands, laws? Have you noticed you don't have to try to follow the law of gravity, do you? Why? Because it's a law, because that is the way that it is. You don't have to try when you walk past a mirror, try to make your reflection appear there. Why not? It's a law of optics. It's a law of light. It's a law of the way human eyes work. You don't have to try. When you walk past a mirror, thou shalt see thine reflection. You don't have to try to be a component of matter and energy that cannot be created or destroyed. You don't have to try to do that. That's just what you are. Thou shalt not ever be created or destroyed. Thou shalt change forms throughout eternity. Does that mean I got to figure something out? Man, I'm trying to figure out, okay, I know how to stay energy. I'm trying to figure out the matter part, though. I don't know. That's not what it is. So similarly, when he said, well, what's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. So according to what I just said about commandments, love your neighbor as yourself. Love God with all you got. Love your neighbor as yourself. That does not mean, well, let me try. I really don't want to talk to him, but let me try to talk to him anyway. I guess they came ringing my doorbell. I guess I really didn't want to let him in, but let me let him in. That's not love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself as a commandment means it's like gravity. You are already loving your neighbor as yourself. You are already loving your president, vice president, and president-elect. How much do you love them? well, let me try to accept Donald Trump. Nah, let me try to. That's not what it is. You already love your neighbor as yourself. That's what I'm getting at today. You actually already love your neighbor as yourself. If it's big love, okay, that's showing you something. If it's small love, that's showing you something. And then Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. And then the man said, well, who is my neighbor? And then he told the story of the Good Samaritan. The story was somebody outside of your circle. Somebody that you wouldn't have, I guess if we had this human choice, we might not choose to love that person. But then that's just showing them. Now I got to take it back to Osho, the late great Osho, who said, the way of your seeing things is a reflection of your soul. So if there was a candidate that you didn't feel, lovey-dovey about, and I'm not just talking about disagreeing on some policy stuff, but really dislike, are you telling me, am I telling you that if you don't love somebody, you don't love yourself? Well, you tell me. However you feel about him, however you feel about anyone, I got a little advanced metaphysics for you. All right, you ready? However you feel about a person or a situation, those feelings are coming from within yourself. That's advanced. That's advanced. Okay? It's not really coming from the person. My whole life, I could not, as just a young child, adolescent, teenager, young adult, I could not stand the sound of a baby crying. It just bothered me. I said, just go somewhere. Don't ask me to babysit, because I ain't, right. But then one day, now I got my own kids, and the cry is it's like a symphony orchestra in my heart. And what's wrong? What do you need? What else? What do we need? Interesting that, so maybe it's not, I can't stand babies crying. Maybe, or, hold on, let me fix that. Babies crying gets on my nerves, was how I thought it was. Until the baby was me, literally, genetically. Now all of a sudden it sounds different. Interesting. So what I said was, when I thought it was someone else's kid, it was a problem. But when I became aware of the oneness of the situation, all of a sudden it's not a problem. And then once I became aware of the oneness in my own lineage, now I can see a oneness with other parents, with other kids, and all of a sudden they don't bother me like they used to bother me. But they still kids, they still cry, and it still sounds the same. But I love my neighbor as I love myself. It is not a call to live up to. It's something that we are carrying out every single day. All right, so what does that mean? All right, how can I be more loving, right? Here's a part of it. To accept yourself right where you are. That's one of the challenges, is self-love. What should have been, what should have been. I had a friend who said, that's our problem. We shouldn't ourselves to death. I know so-and-so died, this loved one died, and I'm sad. I shouldn't still be sad about this. Okay, get it together. You shouldn't still be sad anymore. What is that love? How is that loving myself? The shoulds. I should be somewhere else. I should be further along by now. I should have more money in the bank. I should. But the only thing that's true is what is and where I am right now. I should have lost 25 pounds by now. And I look in the mirror, you stupid, lazy, no son of a... You know you should have been done better than this by now. If that's the posture, what's left for the rest of the world? No wonder these Republicans got it so rough from us. Look at who they got to deal with, us. So accepting where we are. It says, love God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength. Again, if I'm trying to live up to some sort of commandment, can you see that trying to live up to something other than what I am? I mean, it's try to be something I'm not. Is something less than all my soul, all my heart, all my mind, all my strength. See, now if I say, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, then that sounds like, yep, just give God your best. But guess what? All of my mind and soul, that includes some depression. All of my mind and soul includes some anger. All of my mind and soul includes some trauma. And so to really love God and love myself, I might be loving God from some real anger. But no, I'm not supposed to do that. No, I should. I can't be mad at God. I should get it together so that when I walk in church, in Britain they call that a plaster. You're just plastering over. A plaster. How you doing? Oh, I know that the universe is highly favored and aligned in my true statement. But is it true? Am I speaking from all of my soul? So because really how I love God, that's not just, okay, Sunday 10 to 11, it's time to love God and let's put on a good face and let's love God the right way. How I love God, I think I got a little more advanced metaphysics for you. I'm pretty sure God is present and real 24 hours a day. I'm not positive. I think so. Presuming that that's the case, I'm loving God all the time. This is ubiquitous. This is like gravity. This is like anything else. I can't turn it off. But what is the quality? What is the frequency of it? What is the vibration of the love? You know, there's power in, I could prove that we have this power because we've all done this before. If I'm feeling good and I'm feeling so good, you ever just beaming with love, with joy? And you catch someone's eyes and you just beam at them, right? And then now they catch it. Now they beaming. Now they going around and they can spread this love, this beam, this power, this acceptance. But it comes from, as it says, all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength. So some of that is now in the last 15, 20 years since Osho died. We have come to an awareness now where folks are talking about, well, I got a hurt inner child in here somewhere. I'm not ignoring that. I'm not negating that at all. That's cool. Guess what? That's part of all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength, is it not? Would be the hurt little child. And Imagine the power of, instead of, well, there's a hurt little child, but I'm a big boy now, and, big boys, I'm not allowed to cry, so let me just tuck it under, And then now when they dropping dead at 56, we're trying to figure out why. But can I love myself? Oh, we are loving ourselves. We are loving one another. But can I do something with that? I saw a part of the Democrats' campaign was, we won't go back, right? And then your boy messed around and won. So now I see folks sad, and I said, well, why are you sad? I said, I didn't want to go back. But now we going back. I got some more advanced metaphysics for you. If you don't want to go back, you don't have to go back, regardless of who won the civic election. That's another part of it. What feels like a step back is not a step back. I was going to say it's not always a step back. It's not a step back. What makes me so sure of that? God has, what I can see and discern, things are constantly moving forward. I know I'm not the only one been alive long enough that something that seems bad happens, but let a season or two go by, and I find out it was actually the best thing that ever could have happened. So as upset as I let myself get, and sad and I can't do nothing, that's fine. Still, I can't turn the love off. I can't turn the life off. I can't turn the love off, the light that is me. I can never turn it off. It's going to be, you ever with someone, or you've heard this, I've seen it in movies, I've seen it in person too, and someone says, you're so beautiful when you're angry. And then really the person who was angry, they might get madder at that. But that's just showing us that it doesn't matter where you are or how you feel. We are loving our neighbors as ourselves. So like I said, part of, well, how can I be more loving, right? Part of that is trust the process. Whatever is happening, what else could be happening except what is the divine process long term? As people, we have a short life and sometimes a short sight, but what else could it be except unfolding for our good? And now, since it's unfolding for my good, I'm going to approach it differently. And then when I approach it differently, with greater positivity, with greater optimism, with greater acceptance, with greater love, with greater joy and peace, guess what? More advanced metaphysics. When I put love, joy, peace in, I get love, joy, peace out. I know this is advanced today. We're going all the way deep. How can I be more loving? Here's the thing. There's a difference between, okay, love your neighbor as yourself. So I got to love everybody. I got to love you. I got to love you. I got to love everybody. There's a difference between love your neighbor and follow your neighbor's vibration. What do I mean by that? A lot of folks in the spiritual healing game are empaths, empathetic. We pick up other folks' emotions, feelings, and if we're not careful, we can carry those with us. So here's the question of love. I gotta ask this question: what is mine and what is just a part of the collective. Like I said, I'm going to love my neighbor. That's not the same as let me match vibration with my neighbor. Matter of fact, the most loving thing I could do to love the neighbor is make sure I'm as loving as possible. Not so that, it says, I think in Romans 12, don't be overcome by darkness, but overcome darkness with the light. Do you understand? Everything that is sustained by some sort of energy. A human being, I can stand here because I've had plenty of carbs, right? That's a big part of it, right? I'm able to stand. Everything is fueled. This third dimensional, because it looks like what it looks like, right? It looks like this, it looks like this, it looks like I'm over here and you're over there. It looks like white people get a certain thing. It looks like the police are doing that. It looks like the prices are doing that. It looks like people dying. It looks like this thing called Earth, right? This thing we live in, this third dimension. But can you grasp this for a second, that this thing that we are calling reality, this thing we are calling the third dimension, is powered by some sort of energy, some sort of consciousness, some sort of collective belief is what's keeping this looking like this. Because the reality, this is a packet of energy, this is a packet of consciousness, this is a packet of consciousness, this is a packet of consciousness, that's a packet of consciousness. But we are seeing it as we see it because of there's an energy behind it. And I just said there's a difference between loving your neighbor and just matching the vibratory pattern. There's a difference between loving this world as a being of light, of consciousness, of a part and parcel of God, of the divine. That's me. Loving this world is one thing, but me just matching the vibratory pattern of the world is something else. And we tend to match the pattern. I mean, we hear, this is what we do, this is what everyone does, but it doesn't have to be really any kind of way except what we make it. There's something called what's it called? Notes from the Universe. And they put it this way: only and always wish for the best, and then no matter what happens, know that your wish was granted. If I know, Romans 8:28 says, all things work for the good of those who love God, who are called according to God's purpose. Now, to know that, that's something to be, really happy and loving about. But now here's the pattern of the world. Yeah, Romans 8:28 says all things work for the good of those who love God, called according to his purpose, but, we ain't gonna have another election. And guess what? Even if we don't have another election, I got one more piece of advanced metaphysics. Even if we don't have an election, God is still gonna be God. And it's always like this. Jesus came to earth. I don't know, but I suspect when he came to earth, do you think he was upset because he came at a time of corrupt kings and thieves? And he said, Lord, what am I going to do now? I can't love Pharisees because they're too mean. No. It's a choice. It's an internal direction. He came just like, I dare say, all of you, all of us, with that mandate of victory for the forces of light, with that mandate that in this lifetime we can come to the fullest yet understanding and experience of being God, and we can live it. And yeah, there's things that persuade us that that's not what it really is, like life, like economy, like physical health, like politics. But all of that is happening really according to our own understanding. Because some folks were fit to be tied last week. Some folks were jumping for joy. Some folks didn't care either way. It's not the events, it is how we choose to love it. So let us love with all that we have: heart, mind, soul, strength. There's more I could say, but you had a rough week with the election. I'll give you a break, okay? I'll wrap it up. But in a moment of prayer and in speaking of treatment, there is more divine help, angelic help, spiritual support, discerned guidance. There's more than any one human being could use or need or want or ask for. And that's as close as our next breath. To know that we are a part of this all makes sense to love. There's nothing else we can do except love as we love ourselves. So then let us love with all our hearts. Well, this is a mean old world. You can't give them your whole heart because love them with all our mind. Well, mind tells me maybe they're not worthy of love. Well, I love that too. To love with all the soul. There's an imprint. It can be as small as a thumbprint. It can be as large as the universe, and it looks, feels, sounds like me. If I don't like the vibration, why would I play along? I turn within. There is a light, there is a consciousness, there is an awareness, there is a power, there is a force, there is a being, there is a godness in me, as me. I live from there. I spread the joy, I spread the love. It has nothing to do with external circumstances. It has everything to do with external outcomes. Whatever we see in this world that we wish it weren't so, let us use this power of love. Marcus Garvey said, "Arise, you mighty race, and accomplish what you will." We will for love, we will for greater awareness of that divine identity, and to see it in the world from this moment